A pleasant day to each and everyone, especially to our instructor in Med 222, Ethics and Social Responsibility, Dr. Salvacion L. Dumdum. We are the reporter from Palimbang 1, and the topic that was assigned to us was about social responsibility in education. I am Lori Jane Mendoza, the first reporter. Given the different problems that currently exist in education, example, failure and dropping out, a lack of recognition of teaching professionals, a lack of agreement in financing and education law, school violence, increase in psychological change in children, increases in depression among adults, economic instability in the country, etc., it is increasingly important to be socially responsible in the broad sense. What is social responsibility in education? It is a process whereby the whole community transmit to the next generation appropriate values, skills, traditions, and cultural norms. Responsibility begins with each person and then extends to working with individual groups, community, and the whole world. Social responsibility begins with taking responsibility of our behaviors. What does social responsibility mean in school? It includes concern for the consequences of a person's institution's acts as they affect interests of other people and the environment. More specifically, social responsibility also involves advocating citizenship and volunteerism to take good care of the people and the environment. Teaching and learning the concept of social responsibility can anchor the idea in the minds of students and express it through all the actions taken in their adult lives, contributing to the partial or complete solution of problems caused by a lack of social responsibility in society. Key elements that are crucial for the individual student responsibility. 1. Learning behavior of a student, as it is the fundament of his occupation and his success. 2. The behavior towards oneself as well as the attitude are crucial, as a good mental and physical health are important for not only the everyday life of a student but also to extreme situations such as exam period. This can cause a big impact on the student's health. It is also important as it is important to be well within oneself before an individual can really help others. The third element is the behavior towards other. This is an important factor because the environment an individual living in plays a big role for the well-being. Moreover, the way an individual treats his surrounding will reflect on the individual. This is true for students as well. 4. The behavior in a community is another key element for a responsible student, as it includes things that he or she can do in order to impact society and the environment.
Good afternoon to everyone, especially to our professor in Med 222, Ethics and Social Responsibility, Dr. Salvacion L. Dumdum. Ma'am, good afternoon. And to all my fellow students, good afternoon. This is Medji A. Anyora from Palimbang. The topic that I'm going to discuss this afternoon is all about social responsibility of teaching. The social responsibility of teaching. Teachers should promote some values that conduct the behavior of students. Teachers should develop and establish social responsibility among education team who will be responsible to transmit it to student and to community as a whole. According to Plato, the purpose of education is to cultivate an intellect forsowed each for its own sake in order to uncover the universal theme and natural law that prepared mind can discern beneath the surface confusion of life. And according to Socrates, the purpose of an education is to prepare citizens to participate in public affairs. Social responsibility is a personal investment in a well-being of others and of the planets. Social responsibility for parents and teachers and how it is promoted within the classroom. It is proposed that social responsibility can facilitate learning and outcomes by promoting positive interaction with teachers and peers from motivational perspective, by providing students with additional incentives to achieve. According to Lexi Sorenson show in his work paper, Responsibility of Teachers, that not all students learn the way or the same rate, but they all deserve the same chances to learn and succeed. A student may learning disability may require extra attention than a student without disability. It may require extra step for a gay or a transgender student to feel safe, included, and supported. Equity does not mean that all students learn the same way or at the same. Equity means all students are treated fairly, inclusively, and their respective provide equitable opportunities for all students to develop their individual abilities regardless of culture, social economics, class, and ethnicity or faith. Next is the teacher's responsibility. It is a teacher's responsibility to provide a nurturing and welcoming learning environment for all students and to take serious the position of influence that she is in. A teacher can influence what her students talk about, how they think, and what they become. Social responsibility demands that a teacher not only cares about actual students but also must understand and prepare them and show them how fit into future community. Social responsibility of teachers emphasis is on how. Number one, to create leadership development opportunities for students and to foster a commitment to social and civic responsibility. It is our responsibility of a teacher to make them responsible in the community. Like for example, perfect example, we have classroom officers or the student government council or student SPG, the student pupils government in their school. So this one way to develop a sense of leadership, preparing our learners to become leaders someday. So number two, to enhance the employability of graduates by providing opportunities to build a strong resume and explore career goals. Motivating our learners to become how they become someday. If they continue in their study, of course, someday they are employed in their specific field. So number three, social responsibility of teaching or of a teacher to promote learning both for the students and for the community members. Of course, as a teacher, it is our social responsibility to motivate our learners or even their parents to never stop support their children going to school. Number four, to play a role in creating capacity in the community to work on complex social problems. So, our, our role as a teacher, creating our learners to face in the real world that full of challenging. We motivate our learners or them to survive by all means for the better future. So we motivate our learners to continue whatever their circumstances encountered in their study. So number 5, to design a more effective way for the campus to contribute to economic and community development. So it is our social responsibility for a teachers to motivate them to pursue their dreams by finishing their studies and to become a strong and determined person or individuals. So number 6, to continue support for public investment in higher education, both to provide access and opportunity for students of all backgrounds to pursue an education and generate knowledge that will addresses critical societal needs. So we teachers in learning motivates our learners to never stop dreaming for the future. Number 7, scholarship of discovery contribute to the human intellectual climate of a college or university. Example, by giving scholarship by our achievers. A lot of scholarship offers by our government to those academic qualifiers. Number 8, scholarship of integration makes connections across the discipline, placing specialties in larger contexts, open, educating non-specialists. Our government offers also scholarship not only in the Philippines but also outside our country. So we are producing a globally competitive learners. Number 9, a philosophy of education that empowers individuals, liberates the mind, and cultivates social responsibility. Philosophy in education helps our teachers to empower learners to become a better person in our society. So, empowered our learners' capacity to learn. Number 10, challenging encounters with important issues. Our responsibility in teaching as a teacher help them to be strong to all challenges in life for a better future. So as a teacher, we always motivate our learners to become a better person and always be strong in facing challenges in life to continue or pursuing their studies. Number 11, more a way of learning than specific content. Learning is a continuous process, encouraging our learners to continue exploring and making innovations for a better learning outcomes. Number 12, prepares our student to intentional learners who can adapt to the new environment, preparing our learners to become a globally competitive in their own fields, as building confidence in their own selves. Number 13, prepares graduates who will be intentional, empowered, informed, and responsible. 1. 14, open up boundaries and stimulate the exchange of ideas using some of ideas use of the strategies of learning organization. Number 15, celebrates the diversity of the school community, recognize all the intellectual levels of the students and allow them to participate in the community. Number 16, use the school wood shop classes to build furniture for homeless shelters, involve the art classes in designing the furniture or decorating it. The concept of learning to use tools equipment is maintained. And the end result is fewer little projects and one larger projects that helps the community and build a sense of classroom community. A teacher's social responsibility in teaching, preparing our learners to become a better person in the society, and the learning that they have in school can help the community if they needed. Number 17, incorporate environmental literacy into all the content areas. Teach students about the interdependence of life forms, that materials flow through our ecosystem. In our learning and teaching process, we always integrate values education in our ecosystem, that we should care for our Mother Earth. Number 18, create school democrats that have real power, allow the students' governments to make recommendations to parents and school leadership groups, assist students in learning the process of decision making. If it is always done behind closed doors, they will never know what questions to ask, so they can learn to govern themselves. As we teach, think aloud in decision making. Last, encourage students to make small changes through group action. That's all. Thank you for listening, and God bless us all.
Good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon to our professor, Doc Salvacion Dumdum. Ma'am, good afternoon. I am Nurhaya Muhammad Uladisan, a teacher 1 from Wal Elementary School, Balimbang 1 District, Division of Sultan Kudarat. My assigned topic is all about educators and social responsibility. Educators for social responsibility. Educators for Social Responsibility, or ESR, works directly with educators to implement systematic practices that create safe, caring, and equitable schools so that all young people succeed in school and life and help shape a safe, democratic, and just world. Founded in 1982, ESR is a national leader in school reform and provides professional development, consultation, and educational resources to adults who teach young people. Responsibility of educators. An educator is responsible for teaching students and contributes to their learning development. Duties of an educator include creating learning modules and materials, developing engaging activities, and facilitating learners' discussions. Social responsibility of educators. A teacher can influence what for her students talk about, how they think, and what they become. Social responsibility demands that a teacher not only cares about her student, she must understand how she fits into her community. Educators and students are facing unprecedented times. The challenges both students and their teachers confront today vastly affects the efficacy of even the best educators' effort to create and foster students for learning and to contribute to the society they will one day shape. Yet, educators must stay committed to fulfilling their social responsibility now more than ever before. What should social responsibility look like in the teaching profession? Education is about opening minds, creating new knowledge. It is an expansive endeavor. In theory, education should provide us with the understanding and capacity of what it means to be a citizen of this nation and the world. Our nation's founders understood the importance of an educated citizen. Today, I believe that we need educators to support both students' academic development and citizen development. Today's teachers face unique hard lists. From race-related issues to socioeconomic challenges, to differences in linguistic and cultural backgrounds, all of these students variable present an ambiguous trial for teachers and educators at every level. The question presents itself: how can we successfully teach and reach all students from all backgrounds while fostering a desire for increased social responsibility and awareness within them? Each generation produces very different students. Students today are complex and reflect the complexity of our society. They have different needs, they have different backgrounds, and they require different approaches to teaching learning. That said, the challenge we now face is how to create expansive curiosity about who we are teaching and what brings them to education, while taking into account their academics and development as citizens. It starts in the classroom. How they care for one another in the classroom can dictate how they function in and care for their respective communities.
Once again, good afternoon everyone. And to our professor, Dr. Salvacion Dumdum. Ma'am, good afternoon. This is Cherry Rose Tenorio Bedro. My topic presentation is all about the social responsibility of teachers in classroom. It is a teacher's responsibility to prove a nurturing and welcoming learning environment for all her students and seriously the possession of influence that she is in social responsibility demands that a teacher not only cares about her students, she must understand how she fits into her community. It means that being a teacher, you must be responsible to create a learning environment for every learners that is friendly and conducive. It is one way to enhance and motivate their individual interests during the learning and the teaching process. Teacher must also take in consideration to adjust on how she responds with her pupils' behavior, inside and outside the classroom, and dealing with the community stakeholders as well. Next, it includes concerns for the consequences of a person's or institution act as the affect interests of other people and the environment, more specifically the social responsibility also involved in advocating citizenship and volunteerism to take good care of the people. It says that another social responsibility of a teacher mostly concerned with people in the society and its contribution to offer themselves to work diligently for the prosperity and be a responsible citizen who lead to advocate peace and order in the society. It's a social responsibility of a teacher to produce a productive citizen in the country. Next is what is a teacher responsibility in the classroom. A teacher is responsible for preparing lesson plans and educating students at all levels. Their duties includes assigning homework, grading tests, documenting progress. Teachers must be able to instruct in a variety of subjects and reach students with engaging lesson plans. It means that the teacher is always a facilitator. She or he is just a recording all the pupils' performance and instructing and guiding the pupils when learning takes place. The teacher must prepare daily lesson plans, checking homework and pupils' output. The teacher must be ready every time she's get in the classroom, as such as preparing all the instructional materials before introducing the lessons. Next, what is the most important responsibility of a teacher? The first and most important responsibility is to show love, respect, and caring for its students. This requires that the teacher help its student to identify his or her strength, the abilities, the talents, and interests. Meaning, before a teacher must have the ability of being passionate, patient, and a sense of humor that may help his or her students to encourage in showing their any talents, abilities, and skills in different aspects of learning areas. What are the responsibilities and liabilities of a teacher? As a teacher, you carry the weight of several types of responsibility. You are responsible for your students' welfare, the safety, education, and health. Also in a moral sense and in a legal one, because of that responsibility, you are facing a lot of liability. It says that the teaching profession is carrying a lot of obligations and responsibilities regardless of the pupil's learning progress and even for the safety and the health condition of every pupils. Being a teacher who handling a lot of liabilities with her family, pupils, and also with her community is not easy. But then you must to do so because you choose and ought this kind of profession. Then, how's the social responsibility could be caught in the classroom? The best way to learn responsible continuation. How social responsibility could be caught in the classroom. The best way to learn responsible virtual behaviors is through practice. Model the right way to interact online for your students or children. Then give them opportunities to practice. It means that our educational setting nowadays is more on the technological base. We will teaching through online just to reach the learning of our pupils. The teacher should practice her students or pupils to participate not only inside the classroom but also when having their own online classes, especially with this time of pandemic, wherein you'll be teaching through virtual communication, and the teacher must ensure that the pupils' learning was uninterrupted and giving them equal opportunities. Then, the teachers in classroom must have, number one, the equity. Not all students learn the same rate, but they all deserve the same chances to learn and succeed. Equity does not mean that all students are treated the same. Equity means that all students are treated fairly. Equity means giving all equal opportunities to all pupils. The teacher must be equally treated well his or her pupils without discrimination. If the teacher give them the 10 points to one pupil, then she must give it to all. Let them feel their importance and encourage them to pursue their education. Number two, unbiased teaching. A teacher's personal opinions must be kept out of the classroom. The politics and religion can be discussed in general terms, but the teacher should never school lesson to promote her own beliefs. Unbiased teaching means that the teacher should be sensitive in dealing with the pupil's individual differences. Whatever she has discussed inside the classroom must be kept and avoiding some ideas that may lead in touching individual privacy, regardless of their beliefs and way of practicing their religion. Number three, we have our social policy in schools. A teacher sees firsthand how economic situations can be affect the students' well-being and performance. It is a teacher's responsibility to do what he can to improve conditions of its pupils. The social policy in school, well, as a teacher, it is our responsibility and concern to adjust what is in the society. Just for example, if the pupils could not pass the school projects because of lacking expenses, for it then the teacher should select types of educational resources that is available within the environment. The teacher must go down to the individual capability of her pupils. Number four, we have the social education. It is not enough for a teacher to be aware of social justice issues, she also could discuss these issues with her students. This discussion will promote tolerance and unbiased thinking in the students. The social education, this types of education is pertaining to the society and which concerning to people in a certain groups. The teacher must having as elastic behavior to fit and adjust herself to the community and explaining their involvement and responsibility to its jurisdiction. And that's all about my presentation. Thank you for watching and God bless.
Good afternoon, Doc Salvacion Dumdum. I'm Cheryl Me B. Makot. This is my topic this afternoon. Assessment of Social Responsibility in Education in Secondary Schools. MACBET approach, measuring attractiveness by categorical based evaluation technique. This model is designed with the aim of being a tool for the continuous improvement of social responsibility, since the result provided by the model help to identify those aspects of the social responsibility in which it is poorly rated and to develop the action plan for them. The model can be used as a tool of benchmarking, that is, the comparison of social responsibility efficiency between high schools, and act as a way of attracting students. The choice of the MACBET approach rather than the other multi-criteria decisions method is due to the fact that it only uses qualitative judgment about the difference in performance between two elements at a time, in order to generate numerical scores for the alternatives in each criteria and to weight the criteria. Has been used to solve real-world problems, for example, in the area of finance, human resources management, and health and medicines, technology selection, environment and sustainable development, maintenance, the military, policy tourism, and in education. Example, MACBET approach, measuring attractiveness by categorical based evaluation techniques. Semantic scale. Null, equivalent numerical skill 0, significance no, difference in attractiveness between the elements, compare. Very weak. 1. Very weak difference in attractiveness of one element over another. Weak. 2. Weak difference in attractiveness of one element over another. Moderate. 3. Moderate difference in attractiveness of one element over another. Strong. 4. One element is strongly attractiveness over another. Very strong. 5. Very strong difference in attractiveness of one element over another. Extreme. 6. One element and extremely attractiveness over another.
Good afternoon, everyone, especially to our professor in Med 222 Ethics and Social Responsibility, Dr. Salvacion L. Dumdum. Good afternoon, ma'am. I am Lasujin L. de la Peña, and my topic is about perspectives on social responsibility in education.
Every child has the right to access safe, quality education. At present, education faces the growing challenges of tense budgets, teacher retention, and the increasingly specialized needs of labor market. Educational institutions around the world are aware that providing a quality and talented workforce is no longer sufficient to differentiate themselves from other education institutions. Because of innovations or the development of technology, it requires a rapid response of school to the creation of new study fields that will be in line with the needs of the job market. Update education with job readiness. Ensure the child has the resources needed to get to school and to thrive, regardless of any circumstances, and treating every student the same and making sure every student has the support they needed to be successful. For educational institutions to be perceived as responsible, it is necessary for graduates to prove their responsibility, to have concerns about environmental protection, care for the people, and sustainability awareness. Social responsibility is one of the useful tools which organizations can positively influence society and through which organizations can develop good relationships with stakeholders. It means that social responsibility can aid social and emotional learning by developing empathy and care for others. It is not only just informed citizen of what social responsibility is, but actively involving in the society. The graduates should have the willingness to implement knowledge and skills with commitment and compassion with people and resources, strengthening the society, like volunteering to take care of people and the earth, advocating citizenship and sponsorship, and look for the solutions in changing the world together to have impact to the society. There are organizations that bring together groups of students and provide a great opportunity for them to develop 21st century learning skills that will help them throughout their lifetime. So, there are 7 organizations supporting global education. First is Association for Childhood Education International, Educational International, the Global Partnership for Education, Plan International, Save the Children, UNESCO, and UNICEF. Here in the Philippines, there are organizations that working to equalize and encourage education. First is Education Foundation of the Philippines, has sponsored many elementary schools throughout the Philippines through its projects and has provided various resources to hundreds of students and teachers in the area. The resources it has provided are science materials that are used by all grades, math and reading materials, and general school supplies. To provide the respective communities with adequate resources to help students succeed in their educational paths. They also advocate and raise awareness for the needs of school children in Philippines. Together, they help to provide better education in the Philippines. Next is Teach for the Philippines. It believes in providing access to adequate education for Filipino children through enlisting young leaders as teachers in public schools. Teach for the Philippines uses a 3 core program to create teachers who improve student learning and spark reform needed to transform public schools. Its work has enabled children access or across the country to have better educational outcomes and access to previously inaccessible opportunities. Room to Read reaches students all across Asia and Africa with over 18 million children helped in 16 countries. It is an organization that focuses on children's literacy and girls' education, with the goal of encouraging learning and ending illiteracy. One way they have reached students is by distributing books. Save the Children. They work with the government to develop policies and plans to ensure access and protection of children's rights. This organization also helps with other areas such as health and sanitation and natural disaster aid. Educational institutions can integrate in their curriculum competencies concerning social responsibility and the role of active actor that educational institutions can play in the area of social responsibility. So, in DepEd, adapting the 4 core values, di maka-Diyos, makatao, makakalikasan, at makabansa. Having environmental programs for pupils, doing outreach program, volunteering, and services learning. In higher education institutions where the programs are designed for the professions like business, education, healthcare, medicine, public administration, and social work. So their internships, practicums, excursions, and field experiences are essential for preparing students for their professional roles. So, higher educational institutions are the key organizational citizen in the promotion of social responsibility and sustainable development among future professionals. So, students must use the core competencies they gain through education to improve society. As educator, let's blend the lessons of the past with the technology of the present and future to truly transform education, giving students the ability to think, learn, and evolve no matter what the challenges that awaits them tomorrow, and unleash their potential to benefit the world.
Good afternoon, everyone, especially to our Professor Dr. Salvacion Dumdum. Good afternoon, ma'am. My topic is Education for Personal and Social Responsibility. Personal responsibility or individual responsibility as the idea that human beings choose, instigate, or otherwise cause their own actions, whereas social responsibility as an ethical framework and suggests that entity, be it an organization or individual, has an obligation to act for the benefit of society at large rather than as individuals. Personal responsibility can be contrasted to the idea that human actions are caused by conditions beyond the agent's control. Since the late 19th century, personal responsibility has become increasingly associated with political conservatism and libertarianism. More recently, personal responsibility has been associated with the reform of social welfare programs, whereas personal responsibilities are the duties assigned to ensure an overall image of the individual concerning her moral code as perceived by the society. But the explanation of personal responsibility can vary from people to people depending entirely on their individual thought process. The ethical framework that puts every individual and organization under obligation to act for the benefit of the society varies depending on the age and business. As a student, their social responsibility is to act in such a way that it minimizes the adverse effects of their action on those immediately surrounding them. Whereas the corporate social responsibilities requires commitment from the corporate towards the local community, the country's economy, and the quality of life of the workforce. The social responsibility of scientists and engineers minds and holds them responsible for the positive and negative consequences of their work. The combined social responsibility of these individuals is the choice and conduct of their work.
I'm Rosella C. Aninion. We'll discuss the topic of educating for social responsibility. Schools must help students fight their feelings of powerlessness by developing their sense of community and their confidence that they can make a difference in the world. This is a responsibility of the school that teachers will help students to develop their sense of community dahil ang ikinaakala ng mga kabataan na wala silang silbi sa lipunan. Pero marami yan silang magagawa kung sila'y matuturuan at suportahan ang kanilang kakayahan. Today, the development of social responsibility is a renewed concern of educators, and this has spawned a number of innovations. At first, these efforts develop in isolation, na habang sila'y nag-iisa, marami yan silang naiisip gawin at dapat yun ang mapahalagahan. Their different movements address and different aspects of responsibility. Here are the different aspects of social responsibility: cooperative learning, conflict resolution, multicultural education, moral development, global education, environmental education, community service, and involvement in political and social issues. Now, educational experiments are merging that blend of these into programs and make social responsibility a core element of curriculum and school culture. These initiatives are helping students develop basic social skills a sense of connection with the world around them, and the confidence that they make difference in the world. To the young, the odds of success seem overwhelming, the personal cost high, the disappointments inevitable. The results are seen and so withdrawal from active participation in our society. Their declining voting patterns and their preoccupation with their individual desires and needs. For example, Jerry Bachman, who has surveyed 17,000 senior high school each year since 1975, found that since 1978, an average of approximately 45% of the students polled choose mostly agree or agree in response to the statement, "I feel I can do very little to change the way the world is today." And approximately 30% choose mostly agree or agree in response to this statement. When I think about all the terrible things that have been happening, it is hard for me to hold out much hope for the world. It is alarming that 18 to 24-year-old voting group is the only category of newly enfranchised voters in our history whose voting patterns have shown a decline since they were enfranchised. These findings point to a fundamental lack of connection and commitment between self and large community. Social responsibility, that is a personal investment in the well-being of others, doesn't just happen. It takes intention, attention, and time. It may even take redesigning schools and classrooms to embrace a culture that values and creates empowerment, cooperation, compassion, and respect. That's the end of our reports. Thank you for listening.